A reason one of the three little pigs decided to build his house out of brick.
That's right, and sturdiness is also why a local couple decided to build their dream home the same way, but they made that call 300 years ago, and the Lynnhaven house is still standing today, and it's this week's postcard from Hampton Roads. Well, many families over time have had the idea of getting out of the big city and getting out into the rural countryside. And when Francis and Abigail Thelobald decided to do that in the 17th century, they came here to what's known as the Lynnhaven house in Virginia Beach. I want to introduce you now to Ann Miller. She's the curator for the historic homes in the city of Virginia Beach, and there are so many. But this one really is truly special. Tell me what brings folks here to visit the Lynnhaven house.
The Lynnhaven house is like a hidden gem here, and it is a great example of the house that is not really a wealthy person's house. It's the house of kind of middling people who are starting to move up in the world. And we know that because it is a brick house. And brick houses are really the only houses that survive from the early 18th century. But it is the house of people who are just starting to have a plantation. They only had 250 acres. But they really built a quality house with lots of artistic details, and that is what makes it so beautiful.
It's a great way to see not just the way houses were built back then, but some of the furnishings as well.
I think the thing that people really notice most is that the bed is in the parlor.
Now why?
Because the bed had the most status symbol attached to it, the textiles. The textiles were quite expensive, so they wanted to show them off. The grounds are wonderful. We have a garden that we use to talk about the kinds of herbs that were used for culinary and medicinal purposes in the 18th century. We have a wonderful old cemetery that we can use to talk about the descendants of the people who lived here and the later owners. And we use the grounds for special programs as well as for rentals. We have weddings here very frequently. The weddings are usually here right on the grounds with the house as a backdrop, and then the reception is inside in the building, which is the Colonial Education Center. It's a new building. We use it for facility rentals as well as for school groups that visit.
So it just happens to be wedding week on the Hampton Road Show, so it sounds like there's a lot of flexibility. If people want their wedding to be inside or outside, you can have that foul weather plan just in case.
That's absolutely right.
All right, so if folks are not planning a wedding but just interested in coming, when is the house open? Are there guided tours, or how does that work if someone's planning a visit?
The house is open Tuesday through Sunday, Tuesday through Saturday 10 to 4, and Sunday noon to 4. Just stop by and you'll get a tour as soon as you come in.
Okay, and you can kind of go at your own pace and I guess experience a time when the pace of life was a whole lot slower. And when you come here to visit the Lynnhaven house, make sure you tell them the Hampton Road Show sent you. And you know, it was continually occupied until 1960. Which is why it was in such good shape. So somebody was living there up until, you know, fairly recently.
Is that a starter home for a young couple?
It was the starter home 300 years ago for that couple, yeah.
250 acres, not bad.
But how about the bed right as soon as you walk in? I mean, when people come over now, it's like, don't let them in my room. You know, that's like where we throw the coats and all the stuff we don't want anybody to see. So it's just so interesting to see what life was like back then.
Neat.